Working with buyers. To create a new contact, click on Contacts New. Enter the information. Any red asterisk field is going to be a required field. So if this is going to be a unqualified prospect or a qualified prospect, you could select that criteria. Customer would be first-time customer. Client would be repeat client. Advocate would be somebody who's referred business to you. And raving fan would be somebody who's done business with you and referred business. So if this was an unqualified prospect, I'd put their information in here. I'd select the lead source and income categories. The lead capture date is the date that this lead was captured. So if it was 2 days ago and you finally got a chance to put it in, you can select that as 2 days ago. And then this is the important field right here, contact type. This is where you're going to want to select this as a buyer. Close. For now, we're going to skip past the buyer process. We'll discuss that in another video. We'll create that contact. So now you'll notice that when we look at the detail record, that the contact type is set to buyer. Client is if they're possibly a client. Client status is, at this point, this would be a prospect. Now if I wanted to just find all of my buyers, I'd click on the Contacts tab, and over here under Current View I've got a view called Buyers, so I can select and find my buyers. This is a view that's based on a search criteria for the contact type field contains buyer. Now from here I can also filter based on my raving fan buyers or my unqualified prospect buyers or just all buyers. So based on the access permissions that you have, if you are in a multi-user account, you may only be seeing a subset of the records based on what ones you have access to. So you can talk to your account administrator about the access if you think you're supposed to be looking at more records. And if you don't see a view in here for buyers, I'll explain to you what these are. If you've got the correct access, and if you don't, you can talk to your administrator. You can create a new view by clicking Create New View Report. This is a buyer's view, so all I've done is put the name equals buyers, and then this is the search criteria, so this is what searches the database to select records for that view. And there's just one field that's selected for this view, and it's the contact type buyer. So this is a multi-select, so I can either have this required that it is multiple criteria, so if I wanted to make sure that it was a buyer and something else, I would use and. In my case, I'm comfortable with either or, so I say or, and then that view is complete. Now this would be the columns that are displayed in that view, so you can configure those if you'd like. You can certainly leave the default, that's just fine as well. So this will give you a view of your buyers that you can click into, and you can schedule a call, appointment, a note, or a task. If you're going to create a note, you can type the note in, and then you just click the add button over here on the right side of the attachment link to add that note. If you're going to schedule a task, you just put the task name is the only required field. These aren't required. The date of the task, I can set that for today, and that would show up on my home page on today's date. So here's that task. If I mouse over on this little icon, it would show that link. So this is creating relationships between the tasks and the contacts, and as long as you're entering your notes for your follow-up and for your appointments in here with the contact record, you're going to have a great history of everything that's gone on with that buyer. You can keep track of some of their additional buying criteria under this field here, under the Buy tab, so you can keep track of what they're looking for. Once that buyer goes under contract, so you can make the determination in your organization whether you do it. If you're using buyer agency, you may want to create it as an opportunity when they sign a buyer's agency, but you certainly want to create an opportunity when they go under contract. So you would use this create opportunity once the buyer goes under contract. So if you're working with in an office where you turn the file into somebody, they may do this. If you're working on yourself, then you would create the opportunity here. Now the opportunity is basically the same as the tab name on a manila folder. So if this was a buyer, his last name happens to be Joe Byers in this example. So buyer, Joe Byers, it's linked to my customer. I've already created that contact record. I can select where this lead came from. and I would select my under contract to close action plan. Now from this point you would look for the video on buyer under contract to close to follow up on that process. Thank you.